Sometimes life feels like it's pulling us in a million directions, unexpected deadlines, endless demands, and the constant pressure to show up for everyone else. It's easy to lose sight of what really matters, isn't it? Right? You start the day with the best intentions, but by the end, you feel drained, unfocused, and you're wondering where your energy went, along with where did all the time go? Here's the thing, these aren't just random bad days. They might actually be signals, subtle whispers of misalignment. When your actions don't align with your mission, your values, your purpose, it creates a disconnect. And that disconnect doesn't just drain your energy, it affects your clarity, your focus, and your resilience. Hi, I'm Leslie Cadet, self-care strategist for ambitious, purpose-driven women like you, women who are committed to thriving both personally and professionally without sacrificing their well-being. Today, we're going to uncover how to recognize the subtle signs of misalignment, the ones that often go unnoticed until they're too big to ignore. We'll discuss why misalignment happens, and most importantly, I'll share actionable steps you can take to help you realign your life and regain clarity, focus, and resilience. By the end of our time together, my goal is that you'll walk away feeling empowered to spot those whispers of misalignment early so that you can make small but meaningful shifts that support your purpose and your well-being. So let's begin by defining misalignment. It's when your actions no longer reflect your core mission, your values, or your purpose, even your priorities, right? It often sneaks in quietly, showing up in ways that are easy to brush off until they become too big to ignore. So, what are these subtle signs? Here's a few for you to consider. Number one, feeling drained. Even after a full night's rest, you wake up physically recharged, but emotionally and mentally depleted, a sign that the energy you expend doesn't align with what truly fuels you. And so you make excuses for low energy, like, I didn't sleep well the night before, that's why I'm tired, without recognizing that if you looked back over the last couple of weeks, that this has been a pattern for you, which has been fueled by your habits of working late and falling into bed immediately, trying to shut off your brain. Or scrolling social media right before bed and then trying to fall asleep only to be kept awake because of what you just read on social media. Or maybe what you were just working on and going over it in your head, questioning whether it's complete or what needs to be tweaked or added. And that can even affect your sleep because you're having a hard time falling asleep. Number two, another sign could be procrastinating or avoiding tasks that you once approached with enthusiasm. It's not about being lazy. It often goes deeper than that. And it's where if you're self-aware that you understand that your mind is signaling that something feels off or misaligned. But again, usually it's not on your radar to go that deep because you're just too busy to think about it, right? And with that procrastination or avoidance, we find ourselves doing something, anything really, that will be bringing instant gratification in the moment, like binge watching a series on Netflix or even playing a game on your phone. And before you know it, your time has been sucked away because you lost track of it and you got lost in procrastinating. Number three, another sign could be a lack of motivation or focus, even for things that matter to you. When your actions don't resonate with your deeper priorities, it's really hard to summon the energy to stay on track. And if you've been burning the candle at both ends of the candle, both candle at both ends, it can be even doubly hard to find the motivation to do anything. And also, if you're even self-aware to notice it, sometimes you can actually feel that you're in a subtle track of burnout and realize that you have to take some time to recharge. But again, burnout that I've talked about often on my lives usually isn't on the radar until you find yourself in it, because you instead focus on the symptoms of burnout, like being tired or overwhelmed or less motivated or loss of focus or even detached. And you don't put two and two together that you're actually in a burnout phase until you're actually burning out for whatever for whatever. And then you get yourself, you're looking for whatever you can to get yourself out of it as quickly as possible. Now, number four, this is finally a sign that could be something that's happening to you, could be persistent feelings of being off. You feel like something's not quite right. You can't put your finger on it. It's like carrying a weight that you didn't actually notice that you picked up. I remember this happening to me back in mid 2017 when I felt like something was off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I knew that something wasn't right, that it was wrong. And even though I went to the doctor and I told them how I was feeling, I got flying colors, that they took all the blood work, all of that stuff. I got flying colors that my health was great. But I couldn't shake the feeling that if I didn't stop and really take stock of my life and where I was headed, that I wouldn't be here to talking to you about it. Like right now, I wouldn't be here talking to you about it. I really truly felt that if I hadn't proactively taken steps to change how I was living my life back then, to bring down my stress, that I was headed for a heart attack that would put me 6 feet under. I knew somehow that something needed to change. And so I made that change happen. I took a very scary leap of faith and I left full-time employment and stepped into entrepreneurship in early 2018, which I believed saved my life. Now, I wanted to share this with you because I truly have lived this experience of being out of alignment and more than one time. And I know how important it is that we learn to trust ourselves and put ourselves first, which leads me to talk about another form of misalignment. And this is something that's come up with for me in several conversations that I have had recently. For those with ADHD tendencies, misalignment can present itself in a unique way through hyperfocus. So I've spoken with many women who shared how they experience this intense state of concentration where they pour all their time and energy into a single task. While hyperfocus can feel productive and even rewarding, it often comes at a cost. When it takes over, when you're hyper-focused, you just become so hyper-focused on something, it takes over. It's really easy for you to lose track of time and neglect broader priorities. Hours can slip away, leaving other important tasks undone, and this can lead to feelings of guilt and or frustration. It's like a double-edged sword. On one side, hyper focus allows incredible intention to something that matters, but then on the other side, it can deplete your energy, leaving you feeling drained and unbalanced. Here's the key though. Even when hyper focus is directed at something meaningful, if it's not aligned with your core mission, values, or your purpose, your priorities, it really can still pull you off track. That's where the whispers of misalignment show up. When you're left with that nagging feeling of, I should be further ahead, or I should have managed my time better. And then hyperfocus, again, without alignment, can also feel like you're spinning your wheels. You're exerting all this energy, but you're not moving in the right direction, maybe not even moving at all. I actually had this conversation with someone recently, which for sakes of time, I can't go into, but specifically it was around her being hyper-focused and still spinning her wheels. Now, the opportunity here is awareness. When you recognize how hyperfocus impacts your time and your energy, you can begin to guide it in a way that supports your mission and your well-being. It's not about stopping hyperfocus, but actually channeling it intentionally, ensuring that your deep concentration fuels what truly matters instead of leaving you depleted and using up all your time, like becoming an energy suck, a time suck. So let me share with you an example of my own recent experience around misalignment, which was personal, not professionally related. I ignored the whispers that my brain and my body were trying to tell me, thinking the way I was feeling was just the cost of being there for everyone else. You see, back in September 2023, my youngest brother passed away. And after that, I poured everything I had into supporting my family and everyone around me, even if it wasn't family related. Now, if you're anything like I am, I'm the go-to person in my family. It can be really hard sometimes to say not right now or no, right? Outright no, because on one hand, it makes you feel good to help, right? But on the other hand, if you're not careful, your time and your energy could be sapped. And again, if you don't take time to recharge yourself, you could be pouring from an empty cup, and continuously doing that can lead you into, where I ended up, which wasn't fun. When all of this was happening in my family, I felt responsible for their well-being. I actually carried their emotions as if they were my own, especially my mom, who not only did she lose her youngest son back in 2023 at the end of September, mid-September, but actually she also lost her eldest son less than a year before. So that was a huge and very hard year for my mom. And at first I thought that my exhaustion, like I said, loss of motivation and my focus and feeling detached really was from the demands of my professional life, But as I hit a wall, and I mean, I hit a brick wall, I realized it wasn't my workload, that it wasn't working with my clients, it wasn't anything work related at all, but in fact, it was the emotional energy that I was expending towards trying to be the strong one all of the time, the one that my family could count on, the one that my friends could turn to if they needed a shoulder to lean on. I wasn't just investing my time into everyone else, I was investing all of my energy into everyone else. And I wasn't allowing myself time to reset. I was misaligned, prioritizing everybody else over my own well being. So ignoring these signs really led me straight to emotional burnout. And it felt like my body and my mind conspired against me to stop me in my tracks. Everything became too much and I couldn't keep going the way I was. I actually hit the proverbial brick wall, right? Or that stop sign that just all of a sudden pops up out of nowhere and hits you in the face and you can't go anywhere. That's what happened to me. That experience was my wake up call. It's why I'm here today sharing this with you, because recognizing these subtle signs early could be the most important thing that you do so that you don't end up misaligned and in burnout. When you notice the signs, it's an opportunity for you to pause and realign back with your values, your mission, your purpose before the symptoms escalate into something more serious. Now, if this is resonating with you, stick around as I'll be sharing a way to take the next step at the end of this session. So now let's go a little bit deeper into why misalignment happens. So it often starts subtly, as I've discussed, but why does it happen in the first place? So I want to explore some common causes that can lead us away from being, in aligned fully, like with our life, with our values, with our mission, with our purpose. Like everything feels like all the ducks are in a row, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, and we end up in being misaligned. The first one is overcommitting to obligations that don't align with your priorities or your values or your mission or your purpose, right? It's easy to say yes to too many things, especially when you might be that go-to person, right? Especially as those commitments seem important on the surface, right? Especially if you're a go-to person or you're a yes person, you're a people pleaser, right? And so saying yes for you makes you feel good. It makes you feel needed, but it also can again drain your energy if you don't take care of you. Yes, I'm not saying not to show up for other people, but you have to take care of you first in order to be able to show up for people the way you hope to. Whether it's taking on additional responsibilities in your business, again, or even if you work a traditional 9 to 5, additional responsibilities at work, saying yes all the time, and instead of and not being really proactive in learning, is asking, deeper questions around the timing of doing things, because sometimes people who are yes people pleasers, go-tos, when we get asked to do something, we think it's immediately needed. But it's not always the case. It's being able to stop and ask questions like, when is this needed? Okay, this is what I'm working on. Let's work out a timeline. Great. And that's when you can say yes, right? But again, when you're a go-to person, a people pleaser, that yes person, it can be really hard unless you take that step and learn to do that. Or maybe volunteering for another project, which could be speaking engagement as an example. Maybe you like to speak on stages, but maybe you do them virtually, or maybe you do them in person. Or saying yes to every invitation to, again, someone else's workshop, maybe to be teaching at someone's workshop, or going to a webinar, or going through a challenge, or always saying yes to dropping everything when a family member or friend needs you. All of these commitments can quickly add up, and before long, you're stretched thin. You're spending your time and your energy on things that don't reflect you, your deepest priorities, what matters to you. And you could end up in a place where you're second guessing what you're doing and wondering, if you're on the right path, and shitting all over yourself with, I should have known better, or I should be further along where I'm at, or I should have made a different choice than what I'm doing because it's so hard. I totally get it, because we've all landed in the should world at some point in our lives. And no matter who you are, even if you're super successful, you still have gone through moments of, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I should be further along, or I shouldn't have made that choice. The word should becomes a staple sometimes in our lives, that it makes it really super hard and gets us out of alignment. The second thing that can lead us away from alignment are external pressures or societal expectations. So we live in a world that often equates busyness with success, right? You can agree? There's constant pressure to do more, to achieve more, and let's face it, to be more, right? From social media highlighting other people's accomplishments to cultural norms that glorify the hustle culture, it can be really easy to feel like you are not doing enough. And all of these external pressures can can pull you in all kinds of directions that aren't aligned with your values, right? Leaving you chasing goals, or leaving you chasing after things that don't truly resonate with you. You're all over the map. And that's because you're out of alignment. You've allowed yourself to be pulled out of that, because the external world is trying to lead the way. And the third thing that can lead to misalignment is paying more attention to the external world than you start ignoring your inner signals, like fatigue or frustration. What I like to say is our inner canary. Because sometimes we push through feelings of fatigue or frustration, telling ourselves that it's just part of life, right? We put so much pressure on ourselves to do more, to be more, that we push ourselves to exhaustion, saying, I'll rest as soon as I get this one last thing done, instead of adding in some buffer time to our timeline for when life happens. And so that's, to take care of our well-being. But those signals are your body and your mind's way of communicating to you that something isn't right. Fatigue might indicate that you're overextending yourself, and a cue for you to take a look at your patterns around rest and what you've been up to that have become habit for you, which has you burning the candle at both ends, right? Or frustration might be the indicator pointing to mismatch between what you're doing and what matters to you, that something's out of alignment with your values, your mission, and your purpose. Think about it this way. How often do you make decisions based on what you think you should do rather than what feels right for you? Do you ever catch yourself trying to do more and be more, and allowing yourself to get curious about the why behind that? Probably not, right? Because we're not typically thinking about, like, oh, well, why am I trying to be more or do more? Unless we actually have been going through some form of self-development, or thinking about, okay, my life seems out of sorts right now. And that's when you start turning inward and looking at, like, what am I doing? What are my habits, right? Usually we're not there yet until we hit that wall, which forces us to take that look. Because this is where like your external expectations come into play. Again, it might be societal pressures to keep climbing the corporate ladder, even if you're no longer fulfilled in your role. Or it could be the subtle guilt of feeling like you should always be available to other people, even at the expense of your own well-being. Again, then shooting all over yourself, believing that, oh, if something, when things don't go right for you, things don't pan out the way you want, you start saying, I should have not done that, or I should have done this, or I should have listened. You go through all of these things in your head because you're not feeling good. You're not feeling good about yourself, right? So when we live according to the external pressures of life, it's really easy to lose sight of our inner compass, our inner canary, who talks to us and lets us know when things are off or when things are running smoothly. And we start living for others' expectations instead of our own. And that's where misalignment begins to take root. But I also want you to understand something very important, and that is that misalignment isn't failure, okay? It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong or that you're not enough. Instead, it's really a signal for you, again, your inner canary, reminding you that something is off, that something in your life needs to change. Like I said, back in 2018, if I hadn't made the bold move to step out of a full-time corporate position into becoming my own boss and in essence taking back control over my time, which I felt I was a slave to, I don't know if I would be here today telling you about it. So I want you to think about where your life is and how you're living it today, right? And if you've been feeling constantly drained, ask yourself, am I spending my energy on things that matter, that truly align with my purpose and my values? Or am I trying to meet someone else's expectations? Are there external expectations that are driving the narrative? Am I trying to be something that they want me to be? Or am I doing what I'm doing in my life for me and what lights me up? And is it aligned with my values, my mission, and my purpose, right? Asking yourself these questions. It's not about blaming yourself or blaming anyone else for that matter. It's about recognizing that you have an opportunity to pivot and realign, to take the opportunity to make changes that can change the trajectory of your life so that you're thriving in life, not just getting by. Now, misalignment happens to everyone at some point in their lives, but the key here is just recognizing it for what it is. It's an invitation for you to pause. It's an invitation for you to reflect on what's going on. And it's an invitation for you to make small shifts that bring you back into sync with your values, with your priorities, with what matters to you. Now, let's talk about some steps to realign with your priorities. I want to help you with that. So first, just know, again, that realignment doesn't happen overnight. I want you to know that. It's not like there's a magic pill and you do one step and it's done. You start to feel, obviously, it depends on you, what you do, how much you really lean into doing the work for yourself, right? It all comes down to that, right? It's how much do you value yourself to put in the time and effort to take care of your well-being? Because again, it doesn't happen overnight, but with small intentional shifts, you actually can start moving closer to a life that feels both fulfilling and aligned with your values, with your mission, and your priorities. So let's break it down into 4 practical steps. First step, pause and reflect. Simply pausing to take stock of what feels off in your daily actions, especially when it comes to our most valuable asset of time and how it affects our energy, is really important. So you might ask yourself questions like, where am I spending most of my time and my energy? What activities, maybe what people, what's going on in my life that I'm spending a lot of my time and my energy there? Do I feel drained or fulfilled by the things that I'm prioritizing? Like looking at your calendar is so important. I feel a lot of the time that our calendar can be our foe or it can be our friend. It just depends what you put on that and what you're prioritizing. And then and again, reflection is like a reset button, right? It gives you a chance to identify the areas in your life that you may need to spend more attention to and maybe make some adjustments. Now, the second step is reassess your commitments. Take a closer look. Again, this goes, I think, hand in hand with your calendar, what's on your calendar. So take a closer look at the things you've committed to. And usually you can see what's on your calendar, right? What have you committed to? If you've ever had that time where you've looked at your calendar saying, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do all of this? Because I don't have the bandwidth emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energy-wise, right? So taking a closer look at the things you're committed to is important. And you can ask yourself questions like, does this align with my values? This thing that's on my calendar, this commitment that I said yes to, does it support my well-being and the vision I have for my life? A lot of the times we say yes to things that are not necessarily in alignment with what we're doing. We just said yes for the sake of saying yes to filling our calendar and then realizing I didn't really mean to say yes, but now sometimes you feel like you're obligated to actually follow through with it. Often we say yes to things, again, out of obligation or habit without considering whether they're truly serving us. It's about you giving yourself permission to evaluate your commitments and make changes if necessary. And that's why you want to reassess your commitments. You want to do this often so that you can make sure that what goes on your calendar really does serve you. Now, number 3 is you want to take one small step toward alignment by realizing that you don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight, right? It's not about like do the one thing and fix it all like right away, because it doesn't happen like that. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there saying like, oh, do this, and in 24 hours, you're going to feel like, oh, amazing. Yeah, maybe in some aspects, depending on what it is. But do you want the instant gratification? Like, for example, let's just talk about you're hungry and you want a snack and you grab for that Snickers bar. You've seen the commercial, and they always make that Snickers bar look like it's amazing and that's just what I need. So you eat the Snickers bar and it gives you that boost of energy, and then you get a crash, right? You get a sugar rush and then you get a crash. So is that what you're looking for, or are you going to look for something long term? That's why you want to start small. You want to identify one task or activity that you're doing right now that feels draining. Like, what's on your calendar? It could even be that you say yes to challenges, 5-day challenges, 30-day challenges, like I used to do a lot. I've really started to pay attention to taking care of my, protecting my time, because it's our most valuable asset. And so it's like identifying what's on your calendar that is feeling draining, that's just busy, just keeping you from doing other things that are more important. Another area that you might want to look at is deadlines that you put on the things that you say you want to do. Do you have buffer time added in for life? Meaning for living your life, but also you want to have time in there for when the unexpected happens, so that you're not like cramming in till the wee hours of the morning to get through a deadline that if you just put in a little extra time, you wouldn't be stressing over, right? And then you want to decide whether you can also delegate any part of it, delay it even, or let it go entirely. Sometimes you can sometimes it feels hard, I know, to push out a deadline that we set for ourselves because it feels like we're failing. But wouldn't it feel better to push out that deadline a little bit and then feel confident when it's ready, so that we don't feel like, oh, I rushed it and is it good enough? And you get into your head about it, and the shoulds and the would-haves and the could-haves and the ifs and all of that start to pop into your head. Scary, yes. It doesn't have to be, though, because when you have your best interest at heart and you start small, then it doesn't have to be scary, and you start taking better care of you. Even a single shift, like letting go of something that doesn't serve you, like maybe you say yes to those challenges and you start realizing, I don't want to say yes to 5-day challenges anymore. If it's not a 1-day challenge, I'm not interested. And maybe it could be that if it's longer than 90 minutes, or if it's something that doesn't really align with what I'm doing and what my overall goal is, then you can, create space for what does. And number 4, this is important, seek support. Sometimes realignment is so much easier when you have someone guiding you, like hiring a coach or a mentor, which has the potential to be a game changer for you. They provide an outside perspective. They help you see things that you might overlook. And they offer tools and strategies to help you navigate what you're going through. Remember, you don't have to figure it out all alone. It is okay to ask for support when you need it. And that's why I created my program, the Whole Soul Blueprint, for women who are tired of being out of alignment, who are tired of their emotions ruling the day, and they just want more quality of life. So this is the only time I'm going to talk about it right now, but I just wanted to let you know that I created a short video explaining what the program's all about and what to expect. And I'm going to make sure to put the link in the comments after the video so you can go check it out. And if you like what you hear after you've watched it and you want to explore more, then send me a message and we can set up a wellness strategy session where we'll take a closer look at your current challenges, identify areas that maybe are misaligned, explore practical steps you can take to regain that will help you to regain your clarity, energy, and your focus. And if it feels right and you feel it might be something you'd like to explore, we can talk about the Whole Soul Blueprint. Now, before I go, I want to leave you with this. I really thought about this. It's something that came to me this morning as I was preparing for today, and I really wanted to be able to, speak from the heart. We are at the beginning of a brand new year, right? A fresh start. We're like in the second full week of January. We just finished hitting the reset button, if you will. And I know that we all have big dreams for what this new year can provide. Some of us have a solid plan. Some of us are working on it. But the thing that ties both groups together is, one, how they use their time and their energy and their resources. And two, whether or not they're doing it alone or are getting what they need through outside sources to support their journey. Now, some will ask for help to ensure they're on the right track for them, while others will throw spaghetti at the wall, hoping that something will stick, using up a ton of their time and energy in the process, and not even sure if they're on the right track and aligned with their values, mission, and priorities. Now, those who want to fast track and who have the mindset and know that they don't have to do it alone, well, they get the help they need, right? And they keep on moving and taking steps daily towards what they want. Those who don't ask for help to ask for help. They keep on course, business as usual, but they risk staying stuck with nothing changing. Getting help isn't about someone telling you what to do. It's about working in partnership with someone else, helping you clear a path that feels right for you. Now, my purpose for saying this today is not to convince you that you need help or even to tell you to get help. Only you can really determine that. Only you know what your life is like, right? But I will say this. If you've been floundering for a while now and you feel like something's off and you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that something will stick and you're hoping that things will change, ask yourself this. How much time are you willing to let go by, and how much energy are you willing to expend to figure things out on your own, whatever that thing is for you? 3 months, 6 months, another year? Will you be okay with that much time and energy being lost from this brand new year that we're in, that you just hit the reset button on, by allowing yourself to continue throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that something will stick that will hopefully help you figure things out? And with the possibility that you'll still be feeling how you feel right now, today, but now you're 3, 6, or even 12 months down the road, and your year will have gone by with nothing changing except that time has passed by with another year on the horizon. I want you to soak that in for a second, because sometimes we need to just hear it said to us for us to actually snap ourselves out of it, to really think about it. I used to believe that asking for help was a sign of weakness, not being qualified. I should know more. People will think I'm an imposter. But I realized that when I left myself to flounder, all I was doing was allowing myself to suffer longer, staying stuck in uncertainty, out of alignment, and deeply unhappy. But when I finally realized that asking for help allowed me to get guidance that I needed to figure out the best plan for me, I finally learned that asking for help is a superpower, that not a weakness. It's every one of us has this superpower of asking other people, because what that does when you do that, it opens you up to new ideas, to fresh perspectives, things that you might not have thought about. But when I realized that that's what allowed me to stop wasting my precious time and energy throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping for a miracle, it changed everything for me. So you have a choice. You can keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping for a miracle, or you can utilize your superpower, ask for help, get the guidance you need to help yourself get back on track, to stay on track for the year that you have planned ahead. Remember, alignment isn't a one-time shift. It's a journey. Every choice that you make brings you closer, has the potential to bring you so much closer to the life you want, even if it's only one small step. And it's not about achieving perfection. It's about making progress, small, consistent shifts that lead to lasting impact. Because every step that you take, no matter how small, is a step toward living in harmony with your values and creating a life that supports your well-being. So, as you go about your day today, think on this. What small step can you take starting today to align with your values so that you stay aligned and on mission? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.